Broadcasting from Lerner and Rowe Studios, this is AZP365, your home for Arizona sports conversation. Here's your host, Jose Garcia.
Hello and welcome back to our AZPreps365 podcast. I was on break last week, but thank you to Dr. Dean for sitting in and taking charge. On today's show, we'll update you on former and current Arizona prep stars who are battling for national and international championships. We'll also interview a coach who helped the Saguaro Sabercats win their very first football title and is now attempting to breathe new life into more Sabercats, the Sabercats of San Tan Foothills. We begin with an athlete who just completed her freshman year and on Sunday helped a U.S. team win a gold medal. Sophia Gregg of Perry High led the U.S. Under-17 volleyball squad to the Pan American Cup Championship in Honduras. In the final, Gregg's team defeated Venezuela with the help of her team-high 5 aces. Besides the title and gold medal, the 6'2" Sophia Gregg also went home with the Setter of the Tournament award. Congrats to the Perry Puma. We also have 2 more Arizona prep athletes representing the U.S., Millennium High's Aiden Diggs and Sunny Slope's Darius Wobbington. Those 2 are currently in Mexico competing with the under-18 U.S. national basketball team in a tournament named the AmeriCup. They'll play Brazil on Thursday during a pool game. It's the summer, but our athletes keep shining. When we return, we'll chat with likely the oldest high school football head coach in our state. He's a man who can still run circles around many. More on him after this break.
This segment is presented by the Fiesta Bowl, celebrating excellence on and off the field while creating unforgettable moments for athletes and fans across Arizona.
Walt Sword isn't ready to hang up his whistle. Although he turned 70 in September, he's eager to continue molding the lives of young men. More than 30 years after his last head coaching gig. This year, he was handed the keys to a struggling program, the San Tan Foothills Sabercats. But this won't be the first time he'll attempt to turn a bunch of Sabercats into winners. 31 years ago, Coach Sword was an assistant for a Saguaro Sabercats team that won the first of a big school Arizona record 14 football titles for that program. Can he now elevate San Tan Foothills? As you will see, he's up for the challenge. He can be golfing. He can be fishing. He could be on his recliner getting ready for the football season. But Coach Sword is right back out there making a big impact for the kids and his community. Coach, I don't think the word retirement exists in your vocabulary.
No, I don't think it does. I tell people all the time, clearly I suck at retirement.
San Tan Foothills, the Sabercats. There was another Sabercats, the Saguaro program where you were at. That program wasn't winning much in the 90s. You came on board. Coach Beck, who we'll talk about here in a second, he came on board as well, turned things around, helped Saguaro win its first ever football program. Now they've won a Arizona State record 14 total. There's some similarities in terms of this being your first gig at San Tan Foothills, similar to what happened over at Saguaro High, it seems like.
Obviously, San Tan Foothills were the Sabercats. Saguaro was the Sabercats. I started my career in Arizona. Here I am ending my career at a school that's the Sabercats. And, the programs are very similar. Both programs have been down and, they're trying to rebuild and come back. So, really, I'm just trying to duplicate what we did at Saguaro at San Tan Foothills.
You had a great coach in Tim Beck, who's now coaching collegiately, a lot of success there. Tell me a little bit about Tim. For those folks who might not be aware, you're one of the architects as well, but Tim was the one in charge of that Saguaro program, getting it to what it was.
Yeah, Tim Beck and I had coached together in South Florida, and he did running backs and I did the offensive line, and then he ran the JV offense and I ran the JV defense. And sometimes you just meet a guy and you click. I'm about 10 years older than him, but we became great friends. And then when he took the job at Saguaro, he called me up and asked me if I wanted to come out. And, I packed up everything I owned, stuck it in a U-Haul truck, and came out. And the rest is history.
Speaking of history, a former Saguaro player is now on your coaching staff, I believe, right?
That is correct. John Troutman is my offensive and defensive line coach on varsity, and he was a sophomore my first year at Saguaro in '93. So he was part of that, trying to turn the program around from perennial losing to, we went 2-8 the first year, 8-2 the second year, made the playoffs, and the following year we won their first state championship. So yeah, I brought him on board. He lives 10 minutes from my school, and I just told him, I said, hey, you're a guy that knows what it's like to be involved in turning a program around, and so I need a guy that understands what it's going to take.
And it's perfect because I believe San Tan Foothills went 0-10 last year, something similar to what our experience in the late 80s, early 90s, right? So to have him on board, big voice to make everybody a believer, right?
It's a huge win for us. And he played his college ball at Kansas, and he's about probably 6'4" or so, about 275 pounds. So he also brings a very intimidating presence. But he's a great kid, played like a maniac for us at Saguaro, and he's bringing that same thing to us now.
Something also unique about your coaching staff, you were telling me recently, you have a female on your coaching staff. Tell us all about her.
Yeah, so Megan Green, she was our booster club president, and she and I coached track this year together, and she's got a lot of coaching experience, especially at flag football levels and youth programs, and has taken teams to national championships. And, my philosophy is good coaching is good coaching. I don't care what you're doing. And so I asked her if she would be interested in doing special teams for me, and she was like really excited about it. And so, yeah, we're really happy to have her. And the added bonus is, with her on the football field, the boys tend to control their language a little bit better, around a lady. So we're getting a little extra out of that.
Good to hear. As we mentioned, 30 years between your head coaching gigs. This is going to be your first year at San Tan Foothills as a football coach, but you've been there a couple of seasons. How did you wind up at San Tan Foothills?
So I retired in 23 after 23 years at Westwood High School, 30 years in the state of Arizona. Was old enough to start drawing my full Social Security, so I was basically done getting up and going to work every day because I had to. Signed up to do substitute teaching. They had an opening as an assistant girls volleyball coach. I applied, got it, probably because I was the only person who applied for the job. But nevertheless.
Any volleyball experience?
Yes, I had coached boys volleyball at Combs High School. Okay. Along the way, those last few years I was teaching, kind of coaching all over the place. It turns out that the athletic director was friends with some of the guys I worked with at Westwood. My principal at San Tan Foothills is a 1998 graduate of Westwood. I mean, I can't make this stuff up as I go along. And so next thing you know, it morphed into a full-time teaching job. And literally the day before teachers had to show up in July, a guy quit, and they offered me a job. And so here I am 3 years later.
A jack of all trades, not only volleyball, football, but also weightlifting. And I believe it goes back to your days in Ohio. You were at one time at a program considered one of the powerhouses in the country, Massillon. That's, I think, where it all started weightlifting-wise, or was it at Ohio State? You're an alum of Ohio State. That's where it all began for you weightlifting-wise, I think.
Yeah, I graduated from '82 from Ohio State University. At that time, it was just Ohio State, not the Ohio State. But yeah, I joined a weightlifting club on campus, got involved with a bunch of competitive lifters, really got into it. And so I have taken that weight training experience and actually in the 80s, when I was in South Florida, I took the third ever CSCS test to be a certified strength and conditioning coach back when Boyd Epley started that program out of Nebraska. So been doing it a long time.
I would say it became the Ohio State when you joined. That's what we're going to say here on our show, just to give you a heads up.
Okay.
Speaking of weightlifting, I looked up some of your stats. For the squat, 630 pounds is your all-time best, 455 for bench, 700 for deadlift. I think the kids say, you can lift, bro. Those are some major numbers. I could tell already you put a lot of time, a lot of emphasis, made a lot of sacrifices to reach those numbers, I take it.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, there was a time in my life when I was younger and single where I was spending 10, 12, 15 hours a week at the gym training and going to 3 or 4 competitions a year, usually a state meet, a regional meet, and usually one of the national meets.
And now going into things at San Tan Foothills, even though people know that the team finished 0-10, you're in your first year as a head coach, but you're bringing a lot to the table. Is this And I'm not going to say it's Saguaro-like in terms of going on a run, maybe winning championships, but is there potential? Can you see the potential of maybe this turning into something similar than like what happened at Saguaro High School?
Absolutely. In fact, it's kind of crazy sometimes how the similarities are between the two programs. I mean, right now, we have a great sophomore class, freshman last year. Lots of talent, lots of ability in there. I keep preaching to those kids, hey, just keep showing up, working hard. We might have to take our lumps this year because maybe we're going to be young and inexperienced. But next year, another year of lifting weights, a year of varsity experience, and we may be on an even field with everybody. By the time they're seniors, they're going to have 2 years of varsity experience, 3 years of lifting weights. Now we may be the bigger, faster, stronger, and more experienced team, and who knows what could happen. That's exactly how Saguaro panned out.
All worked out. Over 30 years coaching in the state of Arizona. This will be your 42nd season as a coach overall. Why do it? I mean, you're, I think, at a point where you can say, you know what? I've proven myself. I've done enough. I've done a lot. But why continue to do it, Coach?
Well, I just think that there are just some things that, you're just meant to be doing. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. You can say it's fate, it's karma. I believe God has put me in this position and put me exactly where he wants me to be at this time. And so that's what I'm going to do.
The kids themselves, obviously the 90s kids are different than the 2026 kids in terms of character, in terms of how you train them. Differences, similarities you've seen from the 90s to now, or differences as well?
Well, I think there are some differences, and obviously some of those differences are for the better. Like, the concussion issues in sports and, not hitting people with your helmet first back in the day. And there's a lot of other things I could, make examples of. But I think kids really deep down are kind of the same. They're just looking for something that's special, different, better to be a part of. And so I know there's a lot of distractions with social media and their cell phones and all those other things. But I think, inside of everybody, you want to be a part of something special if you can.
And you were part of something special growing up at Ohio State, part of a powerlifting group there. You had to try out, I believe is what you were telling me. How much of an impact did that have on you?
Well, that was huge for me because I was a young man. I'd had a couple weightlifting competitions under my belt, really didn't know a whole lot about training. And I joined the weightlifting club, got in, and a group of guys mentored me, taught me things like how to wrap my knees and how to, wear a weightlifting belt and how to train and those types of things. And so, those I really appreciated those guys who, a little older than me now, but I still stay in touch with most of them.
The pipeline from Ohio to Arizona, it runs deep in terms of football coaches. Coach Taylor, who was over at Centennial High School, is one of them. Tell me about Ohio and what it means growing up in that state, which is, rich with football history, players, and everything. I know it's a part of you. How much does it mean to you? What is Ohio all about for folks who might not know?
Well, so Ohio is the birthplace of professional football. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is there. When I was growing up, it was Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler, battling the 10-year war, those types of things. I was a huge fan of Jim Brown with the Cleveland Browns growing up. He was one of my idols. I was a big fan of Pete Rose as a baseball player. I remember when the Cincinnati Bengals were one of the first expansion teams, my dad took me to the very first ever home game at Riverfront Stadium. And so it is. Football's ingrained there. And my hometown in southern Ohio, Portsmouth, is birthplace of the Portsmouth Spartans, who eventually became the Detroit Lions. So, football is, not taking anything away from Texas and Florida and California and other states where football is very important. But it's just something that you grow up with. You can't drive anywhere around in the state of Ohio without seeing somebody with an Ohio State flag on their porch.
The style of football, obviously run prominent during your playing days there in Ohio. Things have changed. Obviously, you're playing small school football. There's still a lot of running as well, but there's also a lot more passing nowadays. Going into this, your first season in the small school conferences in 3A specifically, what do you know about the lay of the land? What are you getting yourself into when it comes to 3A football, you think?
Well, I tell the kids all the time, we're going to run an offense that suits our personality. And so if we have a bunch of linemen and a bunch of running backs and not very many quarterbacks or wide receivers, then we're probably going to run the ball more. But if we can't have quarterbacks and wide receivers, we can throw the ball, then we want to be able to do both.
Well, we wish you much success. And I know this is going to be the beginning in a sense, but in 2 or 3 years from now, when you're in the playoffs, hopefully, maybe lifting a championship trophy, we can say, hey, this is in a sense where it started right here on the podcast. We just want to put out the word, send a warning out to keep an eye out for the Sabercats of San Tan Foothills this time around. Coach, your long-term dedication to student athletes, truly an inspiration. We thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we wish you nothing but much success here.
Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Healthcare can be complicated, but your coverage shouldn't be. Banner Aetna brings care and coverage together, making health a little less stressful. Banner Aetna, your official health insurance partner. Need a ride that goes the distance? Valley Toyota delivers dependable vehicles and award-winning service. No gimmicks, just great cars. Valley Toyota, let's go places. Strong minds matter. Talk Now AZ gives students and families access to mental health support because checking in is just as important as showing up. Talk now, talk often.
Welcome back to our Learner and Row Phoenix studio. Thank you to Coach Walt Sword for joining us. It seems his career has come full circle, but as you saw, he's not done. We'll keep an eye on his journey at San Tan Foothills and keep you updated. With 42 years of coaching at the high school level in Arizona, Ohio, and Florida, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a high school football coach in the state with that much experience. Switching gears, there's a team that's about to experience being a national champ, and a former Arizona All-Star helped put that team on the brink of winning the championship. We'll let you know who that player is after a brief break.
This segment is brought to you by Raising Cane's, home of the craveable chicken fingers, signature cane sauce, and fueling fans and athletes alike.
Game 2 of the Women's College Softball World Series is today, Thursday, in Oklahoma City. Texas and Texas Tech are facing off in a rematch of last year's National Championship Series. Texas won last year despite playing without one of its injured leaders, Viviana Martinez. Vivi, as her teammates call her, hails from Tolleson and returned to action this season. The former Tolleson High Wolverine is the starting shortstop for Texas and is the team's third leading hitter, toting a .382 average. But she's not the only prominent World Series player with Arizona high school ties. Former Greenway High star Kaylin Terry of Texas Tech is batting .438, tied for the team lead in that category. And just like her Greenway days, Caitlin is also dominating in the circle with a 24-2 record and .91 ERA. This year, we had 6 former Arizona high school players participate in the College Softball World Series. That's the 6th highest total compared to other states. Arkansas's Reese Berline of Pinnacle, Alabama's Jocelyn Brisky and Selene Hawkins of Desert Vista, and Nebraska's Alina Felix of Canyon de Oro are the other 4 Arizona grads who reached the World Series with their teams. Arizona consistently develops and exports top-tier softball talent. Each summer, it also opens its doors to top-tier talent. One of the biggest high school basketball events in the country is preparing to tip off in the Grand Canyon State. In our final segment, it's time to start previewing that event. We'll be right back.
Quick timeout. Because injuries don't follow a game clock, Banner Urgent Care delivers fast, convenient care so you can get back in the action. Banner Urgent Care when you need it most. Your money shouldn't ride the bench. America First Credit Union helps you save, spend, and plan smarter so your finances stay in the game. America First Credit Union. People helping people. Pre-game meals shouldn't slow your team down. EG's team meals are protein-packed and easy to coordinate. Share a 3-foot sub with your team, or enjoy half or whole subs by the dozen. No prep, no hassle, so you can keep the focus on your game. Order now on eat.egs.com. From carpools to clutch moments, Nissan is built for every drive. Reliable, innovative, and always ready to roll. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Welcome back. Section 7 keeps evolving. The annual mega basketball event started in 2019 and has grown into the biggest summer basketball showcase for high school teams. More than 300 programs are set to take over the Arizona Athletic Grounds in Mesa. Section 7 kicks off on Tuesday with the boys qualifier. Tournament organizers are expecting more than 70 4- and 5-star players and 600-plus college coaches. This year, Section 7, for the first time, added a Native American qualifier. 2 Native American boys teams will advance to the main event on June 12th to the 14th. The Section 7 tournaments for the girls will run from the 18th to the 21st. Section 7 also, for the first time, will host an NIL conference for parents, which should be very valuable and informative. But there is somebody very important in the Arizona high school basketball community who will not be able to attend this year's Section 7. More on that person when we return.
This segment is brought to you by Banner Sports Medicine, the exclusive sports medicine partner dedicated to keeping Arizona athletes healthy, strong, and game ready.
We have some great leaders in the Arizona basketball community, and one of those important voices is Highland boys basketball coach Todd Fazio. The Arizona Basketball Coaches Association and Arizona Sports and Entertainment Commission runs Section 7, and it takes an army of folks to make it run smoothly. Coach Fazio was one of the floor generals guiding the troops. He is currently sidelined while battling a health issue. We wish him nothing but the best and can't wait to see him on the court. That's it for us this week, but we'll be back next week with more about Section 7. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our director, Kevin Connors, for making us look good. We'll see you next week.